Hello and welcome to Books and Beyond. I'm your host, Jimmy Bennett. Books and Beyond is the show where we hope to help people personify their aspirations. I'm an author myself. I have 4 books written in the William Gillette, I call the William Gillette series. And before we get started, I just want to give a shout out to the Southeastern Connecticut Authors and Publishers Association. We meet once a month, the third Monday of every month at the Groton Public Library at 6:30 p.m. It's a great organization. It's a great way to network, learn what other people are doing in publishers, editors. You never know who's going to show up. So I strongly advise you to stop by if you want to be a writer or if you're writing. There's always something to learn and something to contribute. So we hope to see you there. And today I have a very special guest, B.B. Giesler, a local author, a local girl, right?
Yes.
And it's nice to see you. So let's start from the beginning. What did you do before you started writing?
I was a tech writer at Electric Boat, and I was walking on a picket line one day, and this person offered me a job, and I handed the picket sign to my husband, and I was a government contractor all of a sudden. And I did that for quite a while, and then one day I saw this ad that said you could be a teacher in 1 year if you got your master's degree. So I quit my job and went to school for a year and became a teacher at 50 years old.
Oh, wow.
And I always wanted to write, but I was never encouraged in school. So when my students wrote things, I would help them. And they used, you should write a story, you should write a story.
What did you teach?
I taught computer science when no one had the internet except me, because my son worked for AOL.
Okay.
So you want to know I was very popular.
Yeah.
So I worked there for 15 years and I retired, and during that period my husband and I adopted our great-great niece. So we were 60-year-olds with a teenager. So what do you do? So I just kind of, got involved in her education and everything. And my grandchildren, they were her age. And my husband got pancreatic cancer, and I just started writing stories. And I'd read them to him, or he'd look at them and he'd say, oh, too many she's, and all different things. So before he died, he said, you ought to publish that book. So I did.
I haven't really talked about this, but this is kind of incredible to me because this is sort of a coincidence. My wife got cancer a couple years ago, and as it progressed, on and on, one Christmas came around. My wife, being a swamp Yankee to the core, told us she didn't want us to give her anything that was going to outlast her. So, in the same vein, I was writing. I'd written books before, so I decided to write her a book. The 4th book, it's The Castle Christmas. My wife, she wasn't really enamored with violence and murder and mysteries and stuff like that. She liked lighthearted, so I wrote it more in a Hallmarky kind of Christmassy love, story. And I gave it to her because it was something I could give her that was from me. So I can understand, I see where, it was from me, and I never really planned on publishing it. I just wanted to give her something, give her a little escape for a while, give her something to read, and but it was the same sort of thing. Afterwards, she had read it and stuff, and she said, well, what are you going to do? I said, well, that's your book. It's yours. Just keep it. I'm not,
Yeah.
And she said, well, I really think you should publish it. I really would. So I thought, well, in her honor or remembrance or whatever, so I did. So I can understand, and it's a beautiful thing to give that kind of thing to somebody.
And I dedicated the book to my husband. I write a little thing that everyone says is a tearjerker, but I think they see in us something that we don't see, even though we're, trying to get, and I wasn't really thinking about publishing a book at the time, and I thought I'd be one and done, and And then someone came along and told me this story about Dirty Dirt, and I thought, I could have a body in there someplace.
What is the first book's a collection of short stories?
It's the collection of short stories, and it has these mostly women characters, and it's really the young lady, Sadie Barker, is an FBI agent, and her persona is she's blind. And so she meets up with these ladies in the neighborhood. That's what most of the stories are. And they're called the Old Biddies, and they all belong to the Blind Justice Society. The Blind Justice Society is a collection of women from all over the world. And when they need somebody, they go on their computer and they go, I need a scientist who belongs to the society. And she comes into the book.
Nice.
So that's what happened with Dirty Dirt. It's really about dirt. You know, people would say, what's it about? And I go, dirt, soil. Yeah. And this lady, her name is Ginny, one of the Old Biddies, a handyman tells her the story about Dirty Dirt. That, in fact, is true. My handyman told me the story, and I thought, I got to do something with this. But my first book I self-published through Book Baby, Dirty Dirt. The Wild Rose Press picked me up, and they're a group of women out of New York, which I'm very pleased. And it's, you know, it's completely different. People that self-publish, and you know that.
Right.
It's completely different. They're, you know, I have my own editor, Nan, and she goes through all my stuff, where when you self-publish, you got to find somebody. I, however, did have beta readers. I asked some of my friends to be my beta reader. And if you don't know what a beta reader is, it's someone, you can't pay them. They go through, and they're not looking necessarily for punctuation, but, you know, they're the reader, and does something not work? And I have like 6 questions that I ask them. And 2 of my friends are really, you know, and all the clubs I belong to murder clubs and everything, they are looking for beta readers. Right. They're the best. And so from now on, those 2 will be my beta readers, you know.
Yep.
And you know, for me, I give them a book and I write a nice note, and in Dirty Dirt, I acknowledge them. But basically, they're just there to read. And for me, that was the hard part about self-publishing. I didn't have a lot, and I'm sure if I had asked them, they would have been beta readers.
Right. Now, when you self-published the first book, yeah. Did you go through Amazon, or you used
Book Baby?
Book Baby, and what is that?
Well, it's a publishing company, and they'll do everything for you. But I thought I had everything done. Like the cover of my Blind Justice Society, my friend's an artist, Phyllis Meyer, and she made the cover for me. I mean, and then I did all the editing, so it was very minimal cost. But if you can have a contract with them and they'll do everything, say for $4,000. Yeah. That's the difference. Some people know people that own presses, I guess, and they can get their books published.
See, I got to say, I've always been very leery about. There's been a lot of, when I first started too, you know, I thought, oh, I'll, you know, look into these companies and stuff, and I got some outrageous quotes. I mean, one was like $17,000. Yeah. And one was $12,000. You know, I was like, are you kidding me? I mean, I didn't have that kind of money then to do that anyways. Right. And the writing was never supposed to be, you know, I mean, it wasn't like I was going to make a living on it. It was going to be my career. I mean, I didn't even start writing until I was in my 50s, late 50s.
Yeah, well, me too.
But, and I always caution people because, you know, you can pay these people a lot of money, but it doesn't mean that you're going to be, no. You know, nobody can guarantee your success. It's still a lot of marketing on your part, a lot of hard work.
Absolutely.
You know, I think I did pay somebody to edit one of my books because editing is, you know, when you really, it's kind of incredible how you can go through a book 15 times. And then you put it in print, and you're like, "Oh my God, my God, that's well, you know."
Someone told me that there is not a book out there without a mistake in
right.
it. So,
do you find yourself catching them now?
Oh,
I do too.
You know what? And my first book, I said, if anybody finds a mistake, let me know. When Dirty Dirt launches, I don't want anyone to tell me they found a mistake, because I have read that book so many times and gone chapter by chapter. And one of the things they tell you to do is read it backwards. I
suppose I could, but I don't think I'm gonna. Not 320 pages, no.
well, do a chapter
Yeah,
at
yeah.
a time. But I actually met the people that own Book Baby at a Writer's Digest conference in New York, and I go to those. I'm going to go to one in August. And that's another thing. I invest money in going to these writing workshops, which I do get a lot out of. And I've met a lot of people that have helped me.
No, that I understand. That's kind of more of a focus thing. I think that there's just a lot of people out there that get taken advantage.
Absolutely, I get
by
calls.
these companies, and
Well, I get calls all the time. I'm sure you do too, because they know that your book is out there and they're going to help you and everything. I said to him, I don't want you to help me. So, and the difference for me is that, for me, it's not an income like you said.
Right.
I'm having a lot of fun with it right now,
Right.
and my friends are having a lot of fun with it, and all these characters that I have created are actually people I know, but I've given them a different name, and this book, I say, it takes a village to be a writer, and it does.
It does.
And everybody wants to participate if you let them. But when you have a publisher, you only make 30%.
yeah,
Book Baby, you make 60.
right.
So if that's what you need, then that's where you have to go. And the Wild Rose Press also has another division that is like Book Baby that will you can do what I did and publish through them.
See, I went through the Amazon Kindle route.
Yeah.
I mean, Amazon direct publishing route, and for me, it's kind of perfect because if I'm going to do an event or I want books for certain things, I can order as many books as I want, and just get them, and then try to sell them. I'll admit, like the first time when my first book, Case of the Flying Corpse, came out, I think I ordered 200 copies. And it took me a long time to get that money back.
Yeah.
And to, and I don't know, I can't even say to this day, I'm not even sure if I've ever really turned a profit. I mean, I think I've more than broken even, but when you put in all the time, the travel,
Absolutely.
the, days you spent setting up, the days I took off of work to do a book event, that kind of thing. So like you say, it has to be kind of a love. But I tell people, that's the thing though, is if a lot of people, I think everybody's got a book in them personally. Everybody's got a story.
Right, I agree.
And I always tell everybody that, you should write it down. Even if you don't even publish it, your great-grandchildren or your great-great-grandchildren, they might pick it up one day and go, oh my God, that's what it was like in 2020. I mean, wow, that's kind of neat, So that's why I do it. Like I said, if I can keep a book in my family home, maybe my great-great-great-grandniece will read it one day or something like that, then I'm happy enough.
Well, my granddaughter is my main character. She is Sadie Barker.
Okay.
And I've had my stories, Blind Justice Society, acted out at the Guard Theater, and people, she's of course with me, and they go, I know that person. And we just kind of giggle because we don't tell. But
Right.
she'll call me and go, hi, this is Sadie. So, and my grandson makes corrections for me. So I'm not, they'll get these books, they'll inherit these books. If I make a lot of royalty, I'll leave it to them. But you're right, you want something. My sister and I wrote this book when my stepmother died, and we called it My Stepmother's Attic because we found all kinds of crazy stuff in their attic. And we called ourselves Sarah and Elizabeth. And we wrote this book, which we never finished, but our kids even were calling us Sarah and Elizabeth. And it's 15 chapters, and maybe someday we'll finish it. But the kids all know it, so.
Right.
I know what you're saying, and I agree. Everyone has a story. And when you tell anybody that you're an author, I feel like Michael Jordan feels, I have to say.
Don't you sometimes?
Yeah. They are like, and they're starstruck, and you're trying to, and then when I explain to them their cozy mysteries and stuff like that, and I have business cards,
Right.
And I'll tell you, I give away, I always keep books in my car and I give them away. If somebody does something kind for me, I lost my car in Costco's. I couldn't find it. A guy rode around and found my car for me. So I gave him a book and he was like, "You're an author? No, I can't take this." And I said, "Of course you can take it."
Yep.
And so he'll go home and say, "I met this author," and maybe they'll be in a store and they'll say, "Oh, I want to have her book,"
Right.
Whatever.
The pandemic. Have you done many books events? Have you done?
No, I mostly did them at my church. I had a book launching of the Blind Justice Society at my church, and I just donated the money to the church. So I haven't. I was at the library when you were at the library.
Right.
I'm trying to do one in Mystic. I'm trying to do a wine and cheese for the Dirty Dirt. There just seems to be a lot of local authors all of a sudden, which I didn't know about.
Well, I have to say too, that's been sort of a challenge, I think, for a lot of us, because with the new internet now and Amazon Kindle publishing and stuff like that, it's much, much easier. I mean, anybody can write a book, and like I say, I do encourage people to. The cream will rise to the top, whatever. But I never looked at it like a competition or.
Me either.
And like I said, it was never going to be a major income of mine. Of course, everybody dreams that Oprah's going to pick up your book one day, and next thing you know, you're going to be a million book seller,
sending it to her.
and you're gonna, they're going to make a screenplay out of your book, and this is, But the truth is, it's much, much harder. Even your publishing company, right? It's a lot of marketing involved. They want you to do a lot of.
That's true, and I have a web page. I do Instagram. I have a Twitter account. I post on Facebook, and I try to follow the authors that I know, that I personally know. When they launch a book, what they do. Of course, somebody's picking them up in a limousine and taking them places. Yeah. I'm driving my little Honda there, but no, I mean, it's really hard to find a venue. Like, my church is having a yard sale, and they said, "Do you want to sell your book?" And I said, "Not at a yard sale." So, I mean.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what, though. Bibi. I've done.
Yard sales?
Almost every kind of event. And you'd be surprised. Sometimes, I mean, I'm not going to lie. A lot of times it's kind of a bust. You sell 3 or 4 books. You didn't pay for the gas you spent to drive down there. Some days it's boring. You sit there. Some days they're great. Some days people come up and buy the book. But the good thing is, and it's what I tell everybody, is it's more you got to put yourself out there. You expose yourself. Like, even if somebody goes and sees me at the East Lyme Airport doing the air show, right? Maybe they won't buy a book, but maybe they'll be looking for a book at Christmas time for the thing, and they'll see my name and go, "Oh, I saw that guy. I might as well," because that was one of the things used to thrill me about selling my books, like at Bank Square Book or something like that. I walk in there and I'd look at these, tens of thousands of books and think, "Wow, and somebody picked mine out of this."
Absolutely.
It's a nice feeling, Not that they picked a million out of them, but you take what you can get,
One of my friends I don't have a clue where the store is. I guess it's a little general store in Preston. And he said, "I'm going to take a couple of books, and do you mind?" And I said, "No." And he came and he goes, "You're never going to guess this. You're alongside of Wally Lamb in the bookstore, and you sold 1 book."
Wow. That's beautiful.
And so you're right. And what one of the problems I find, and I don't know if it's with you, how does someone pay you? I know how to Venmo and PayPal, but I don't have that little...
Square?
Yeah, do you have the Square?
Yeah, I have the Square. It's simple enough. I mean, just if you go on the website, they'll send it to you for nothing, and
okay,
you know what I mean, and you link it right to your account. It's changed a little bit. Used to be like they swiped the card and it went right into your bank account. Now they kind of hold it for a couple of days for some reason. I have to look it up a little more because the pandemic kind of really wiped out a lot of that for a while.
Oh,
now
right.
It's slowly coming back now. people are starting to do more events. People are getting out more. They're not, of course, I think this is going to be a good summer for book promotions and getting out there and doing things.
I agree, and that's why I really wanted to do Mystic, because I figured I would hit the tourist market, not that I don't want local people to buy it, but then if somebody from New York had it and they say, oh, I found this local author and I really like what she's doing, and she has this like short story book. Two of people that live in New York sent me a note and said that they read on the train.
Yep.
Or one lady who was having a baby said every time she went to the doctor's office, she read a story. Or someone went to bed and they knew at the end what the story was. Because in the beginning, they were telling me nobody reads short stories. But, I don't agree with that at all. I think people do read short stories.
They do. I've had the same sort of pushback on Accounts of William Gillette's a series of short stories, small novellas. And I wrote it more in like the Sherlock Holmes kind of genre, like he used to write. The shorter stories, longer short stories, novellas, I guess they call them. But I did get a little kick. Even my mother said, I really don't like reading short stories, Jim. I said, well,
That's it,
okay,
Mom.
Okay. All right, but I like the idea. That's a blind detective with a seeing-eye dog. How did that?
I don't even remember how. Nigel was the last waiter that waited on my husband and I. So I liked the name, so I took it. And I was driving across the Gulf. These are the funny things that happened to me. And I said, oh, the detective's name's Sadie Barker, and she's blind. So yep. I don't know about you, but I'm a swimmer. So when I'm swimming at the pool, I kind of do the stories in my head. I do. I think I'm a Cancer, crab, and I think that it just comes out. Someone told me you should sleep with a pad when you wake up. Because when I first started writing, I had characters fighting in my head. They were like, I think it was so new to my imagination that I finally got them to all settle down. But everybody likes Sadie and everybody loves Nigel. And I have Audrey, who is a lady. She's actually a lady I went to CSI training in New Hampshire with my sister. And she wore a gun vest that looked like a regular sweater. And so she's Audrey in my book, and she's always armed. And the ladies are always saying stuff to her like, are you packing? And
you went to CSI training?
Yes.
No, that must have, does that help with your writing? Like when you're doing?
Yeah, like blood splatter, I know. Like when my sister and I see something, my sister, I drag her everywhere. She's 81 years old. I said, we're going here. When we see something, like a detective movie, we go, oh, that's impossible. That couldn't happen. Oh, we wanted to know about guns. My ladies use a baby Glock. So,
okay.
And they were so excited, all these marshals and stuff, because I read them one of my stories one night, and they were all sitting there at the end quiet, and I thought, oh, this must have been terrible. And they said, oh my God, that was really good. And I have all their cards if you need any help. We really did, and we had fun. We were on a lake. It was the first time I was ever on a lake in a cabin, and we met a lot of, it was a Rhodes Scholar thing, and everybody there was in their 60s.
So you were doing, so it was like crime scene forensic, like blood splatters and footprints and tire marks and stuff like that?
Absolutely.
See, that's fantastic. See, I have to say, I wouldn't say chickened out, but one thing I do like about writing, my characters, everything's set in like the early 1900s, 1915 to 1930. So forensics was very, very new back then. And it was, you can get away with a lot more.
Right.
Nowadays, I don't know how anybody gets away with anything. Well, number one, if you're not on camera, DNA alone, just how many people have just gone down because of DNA? It's great that I wish I had more knowledge, because I don't feel like I could write a mystery book. You see, I think you did the right thing, because you know about blood splatters and stuff. That would be very important to me, making sure that I did it right and, knew what I was talking about. And I just don't have that kind of background or haven't bothered to learn that kind of thing. So I think that's just,
It's
I think
fun.
that's great.
Especially when the corpse has their shoe on the wrong foot and they say, oh, it was suicide. And you go, no way.
Yeah. So now you're working on another book, right? You were talking about?
Murder on the 13th Hole.
Oh yeah. Now see, golf is my thing, so but that grabs my attention right away.
Well, the scene is the par 3 that is no longer there. And,
Yep.
And it abuts the tree farm. I'll just,
Right.
and
Okay. Yeah. No spoiler alerts, but Murder on the 13th Hole. I like that. That's.
my husband and I played that, and that's the water hole, and I knew it very
Yeah.
well, so.
I used to play down there too when I was younger. Nice little course. I don't
Yep.
know. Too bad I don't know what happened, but
I know. Some of it's farmland now again.
is it?
Yeah.
Tree farm?
No, it's somebody's supposed to be planting vegetables, but
Oh, okay.
because it used to be a potato farm at one time.
Yeah.
so-
Yeah, like years ago. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So, what do you, how far along you on? It's this murder.
I'm on the 9th chapter,
Okay.
so I've been interviewing different people and trying to. That book has a lot of characters in it, so I bought a big whiteboard and I have, Sadie's here, this one's here, and what they look like, because you have to keep on remembering who had green eyes, who had blue
Yeah.
eyes.
Are you using the same character?
I'm going to make a series.
Nice. See, I like that. I do. And people tell me that's one thing people do tell me. They say they like the fact that when they read one of my books, they can read the next one, same characters.
I add a character, like in Dirty Dirt, I added Brooklyn Patterson.
Right.
She's a sexy, redheaded FBI agent,
All right.
and my sister thinks it's her.
Well, don't spill it. Let her have it. I do that too, though. Actually, in my books, I put my friends' names in there, just the ones that I know aren't going to get.
No, her
angry
name
at
isn't
me,
Brooklyn, but
But once in a while, it's funny. Like a friend of mine came up to me and says, "You made me look like an idiot in that scene. What do you? It's not you. It's just your name." But but it's funny. It's good.
well, she had red hair when she was younger, so that's why I did it.
All right. Well, I wish you all the luck.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I am going to peruse these as soon as I can.
I enjoyed
Good
being
luck
here.
on your next book, and good luck on your book launch on the 17th.
Thank you.
Right?
Yes, May
And
17th.
you take care. Thank you so much. And when your next book comes out, we'll have you back. All right?
Okay. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Bonnie. Take care.
Thank you.
And that's all for Books and Beyond today. We'll see you next time. Take care.